First off, you guys are in Sacramento this weekend, and it seems like kind of traditional to kind of start off down there.
Yep, season opener this weekend. Sacramento will face off with a couple of new schools making their debut at the SAC Invitational. This is primarily because Division I went to automatic qualifiers last year, so we're seeing some schools that we normally wouldn't see until at the end of April.
So is a D2 team is it good, bad? Does it even matter?
Well, I think it's really good. One of the schools that are coming is Gonzaga University. They generally have the same speed as Western Washington. We won't face off with Western until mid-April, so I think it'll give us a pretty good idea of relative speed with Western. But UCSD will also be attending, and that'll be our first national rank with them and our first kickoff.
So it's been over a year since the national title, and I don't know other sports, and they win the national title, they always feel like that bullseye's on their back. And for rowing, do you feel like that's kind of what it was last year? Or in rowing, does it really not matter? And they say, hey, there's net defending champs, but we
lost 12 ladies from last year's team, so we knew that going into this year that it was going to be a building year. I don't know if you would call it challenging because we really don't know relative speed until we actually start racing. But we've been doing some seat racing. We have some ladies that have really stepped up this year. The training, I would have to say this is probably one of our best training years that we've ever had. In the fall, we chose to row at 5 a.m. We got really 2 good hours of workout on the water every single morning, and that's made a substantial difference in their rowing ability.
From a coaching standpoint, how much more difficult is it to bring in rowers? There's video they can watch them, shooting a hoop or hitting a softball. But for rowing, I know there's junior rowing programs, but how much more difficult is that recruiting and bringing in the right athletes?
I think Division II is a bit challenging. There are so many Division I institutions that offer 20 full ride scholarships, and so trying to recruit somebody to attend Humboldt State when maybe not necessarily you would even consider them to be a blue chip kids, those ladies are getting offers all over the United States. We've had a really good recruiting year. We have 5 ladies that have committed to come into next fall, and really just trying to fit the ladies for Humboldt State. The maximizing our potential with natural resources and marine biology seem to be 2 of the top programs for the ladies that we seem to recruit here. So I think this is a building year, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a slow year. But we know next year with those ladies come in, it will only enhance what we're doing this year.
Yeah, with the kind of building and the way we're building it, what kind of goals are you setting for this team this year?
Our goal is to win the regional championships, and that's the regatta that's held on May 3rd, and that's really what we've been training for. We set a pretty big training carrot out there to meet a certain time trial, that if the team meets that time trial, then we'll attend the Dad Vale Regattas, which is in Philadelphia, and that's the weekend of May 9th and 10th. And that would be what would open the door for a potential at-large berth, racing all the teams from the east and the southern regions in one regatta.
Last question. I know for all the teams, they always get excited for that first competitive regatta against everybody else. And having to get up so early and be on the bay, rain or shine, I'm sure not only for as being the coach, but for the athletes as well. They're just really thrilled to kind of kick things off.
Well, the nice thing that happened this week with, if you can say there's a nice thing with the time change. So we went from being in moderate light to being back into the darkness again with the time change. What's really helped is the fact that we're racing on Saturday. So people are coming into practice, they're walking through that door with great attitudes, big smiles, super excitement is building for the end of the week. And this is just where we hope that in that first debut on the starting line that it all comes together and that we have a successful weekend.
Great. All right, Coach, what teams do you feel are going to be your toughest challenge in making it to the postseason and getting by?
It's hard to say. The only team that has raced thus far in our region has been UCSD, and they posted some really fast times, but in looking at the results from that day, they were racing with an incoming tide and they had a tailwind. So you just really have no idea until you face off with them at the beginning of the season. And we know UCSD is going to be fast. They went on the at-large berth last year, and They were about 2 seconds behind Western Washington, and they went on to beat Western at the national championship. So, we know traditionally Western is going to be fast, and UCSD has a new coach in their program. Last year as his first year, and we really, their team has grown. They have a great assistant coach that's done extensive recruiting. We expect them to be very fast this year.